Welcome back to another Minecraft video. In this video I'm going to be showing this giant furnace array that's actually quite simple. I mean, there's some redstone over here, but it isn't that complicated once you understand all it's doing. So this is more for people who want a big furnace array. If you want a smaller one, there are better options really, but this one's 80 furnaces and therefore can do 8 items a second. The thing that makes the way it works quite simple is that it uses the distance of 80 blocks as the timer. So a minecart can travel 8 blocks per second, and a furnace takes 10 seconds to smelt an item. This means a minecart can travel 80 blocks in the time a furnace can smelt an item. The furnaces have lots of fuel in them from previous tests, so I'm just going to put in some stone and make it into smooth stone. So what you do is you put them in the chest up here, then there'll be 5 stacks in here, and you can press the button. It will now go across and chuck 5 stacks of items in here, and when the minecart comes back it will pick up those 5 stacks, and then they'll be off the pressure plate, making it drop another load of items. So whenever it runs out of items here, it refills it. Since the minecart can hold more than it will drop in a whole trip, it will always have at least some items in it the whole time. So after the items have been dropped off here and get picked up, I'll show you what happens with the furnaces. Okay, so this minecart's coming along. Now once it takes the items, they'll drop some more items out. So if we look in this furnace, let's say, since this is close to the left hand side, it will smelt this item and then it won't be doing anything for a little bit, but then the minecart comes across, drops 1 item, comes back, drops 2 items. Now because of those 2 items, that will never happen again. So the furnace will always have items in it. So if we wait for the minecart to come back again, it will pretty much be instantly refilled. Ready, steady, go. Now it's not perfect, but I couldn't make it perfect because of the sort of way the minecart rebounds. It just isn't perfectly timed. I tried lots of things and I couldn't get it perfectly timed. It would either be too quick that it didn't drop 2 items in the one at the end, or it would be too slow that it wouldn't be perfect. So I went for the too slow that it won't be perfect. So the system for dropping out lots of items at once is using these minecarts, because it was the fastest way to do it, easily at least. You would need to use a lot of droppers to accomplish the same task. This is Ilmango's minecart emptying system thing. The minecart comes across, will then teleport down onto the rail in there. It will be partially inside this lava cauldron. The minecart goes in here for some reason, but the items all go this way. Then it gets redispensed because of the detector rail and the delay, and will come back. Now what happens with the pressure plates is when it turns off, it will change the state of this dropper, updating this observer, powering this, causing this to be shot out, doing a pulse that will send the minecart back. I have that system for dispensing the items you want to cook, and I've just put the same thing again, just 1 block down, because the rails are here instead. And then to remove the items, a hopper minecart runs underneath, picks up the items, and comes into this other minecart emptying system, which is the same thing, and then the items come out here, which you would have to send into multiple hoppers and a sort of storage system. I believe you could put multiple of these next to each other, because this is the whole same system as over here, and all you would be doing is just putting another one of these or another one of these next to the other, so it shouldn't change it at all, and it should work like that. And then you could have like a 160 furnace smelter quite easily. yeah, this is very easily expandable. Once all the items have finished smelting and you want to turn off the system, you can flick this lever and the minecarts will stop on there. If they kept running, when you unload the chunks, they might stop halfway on the track. I mean, you could just go along and nudge them, but I think having a option to switch the system off is better. For this one down here, you could power this, stopping it from redispensing the minecart, and when you want it to redispense, you can turn it off. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to build this whole system. So I think these are all the items you need for making this furnace system. So you want to start with a note block with an observer coming off it. Then you need a dropper and a dispenser with the dropper facing up and then a dispenser on top. Next you need a regular block and a downwards facing observer. Then you need a hopper going into the dropper, a cauldron on top which has to be filled with lava, and you don't want to hold shift as you do it. No. Goodbye lava, please disappear. Yeah, you don't want to hold shift. Well, that was a good example of what you should not do. Then you need soul sand there and soul sand there. You could also use a slab here. Then you need a block here and a powered rail there. You can also put powered rails over like this, a detector rail here, and then you would continue your blocks along here with powered rails, and then you need something to power the rails every 17 blocks. You need to surround this rail with blocks, which will then be your outfeed water stream, and therefore you need water in the rail. You'll need to surround it by covering up like this to stop items hopping out. To position the minecart correctly, you need to get an amethyst cluster and put it like this. Also, to power these 3 rails, you need a block here and a redstone torch. Furnaces will go on top of all these powered rails, and then at the end you need a block to stop the minecart. And as I said, you need a power source. Then you would need hoppers like this facing into the side of the furnace and more on top. Then you need powered rails going along like this, which you need to power somehow. I think the easiest thing to do is power a block that's here. I just used redstone blocks. If you want to set up the switch like I did, you need to leave 9 blocks between this dropper and this redstone block. So there's 8 powered rails, and then this one's not getting powered by that, which then you can switch on and off with this. Then you need a dropper at the end of this rail. Doesn't matter which way it's facing, it's not actually gonna dispense anything. And a observer facing this way. Then you need a block with a note block underneath and a sticky piston like this, which needs an observer facing upwards. Then you need to put a block that will get powered when the piston extends the observer. Then you need a block here to put a 4-tick repeater on, and then a block at the end here. Then you put a redstone torch on this block and a block on top of that, followed by another redstone torch and 2 blocks like that. Now we can put a note block on here, and depending on whether you want the switch, you'll either put a regular block if you don't, or a note block here if you do. Then you need a dropper here and a dispenser on top. Then a hopper like this, a cauldron, fill it with lava, and now we can put some soul sand on top of this cauldron and here, but you could also use a slab again. Now you need a note block, an observer, and another observer facing downwards like this. Then you can put a block here and a block here, powered rails up to here, a detector rail on the observer, a regular rail, and then another powered rail. Now you would put your chest up here, or whatever storage you want to use. I would use a chest because you can store twice as much. Then you need a block here, and you need to fill in the area around this to stop the water flowing out and to stop the items escaping. That's why you also need blocks along the top. You probably want to leave the last block for now so that you can then reach in, put a powered rail there and put water in it. Then you can put a pressure plate here. It needs to be wooden or some sort of pressure plate that can detect items, and then you can cover this up. Now we need the amethyst cluster on the block to align the minecart. Now we need to copy everything from this point upwards from this side just over again. So the lowest things you need to copy over are the note block, the sticky piston, the observer, and the block for the repeater to go on. You'll need to replace this block here with a note block like that. When placing the rails next to each other, you need to place a rail either side of the regular rail, otherwise it will try and connect to the side. Now with these two rails, you'll need to place extra rails to align them correctly, because they need to both be facing this way. Now with the observers over here, you need to make sure that they're already out here if there's no items up there, so that when there's items first put out up there, they get retracted, and then when they disappear, they get put out again, making the minecart go across. Now we can put in our minecarts, so we need 2 minecarts like that, some sort of minecart down here to go back and forward, and 2 more minecarts up here. So in total the farm uses 5 minecarts. We do also need to power these top rails, so I would just put a redstone block there that powers both lines. Now if we grab some fuel and grab something to smelt, we can start our farm, well, furnace thing. So let's wait until those items are all picked up, which they are now. Now you do need either buttons or a switch to start them the first time, because they need to be powered to go off the first time. But it only wants to be a quick pulse, not a constant one. So if we press this button, now the items will be dropped out, and you can see this hopper minecart's got all the coal. Now the one down here will have all the stone. It would be spread out equally if the furnace system was longer, but because of it being so short, they're getting spread out in a bad way. So I think that's gonna have to end today's video. I will put a world download because I think that's quite necessary with this. I don't think my explanation was the best, but I don't see a way to explain it much better. So that world download will have to do. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. Bye!